Welcome back to the discussion, Federal Insights, What's Next for Intelligent Automation in the Federal Government, sponsored by Appian on Federal News Network. My guest today is Michael Beckley, founder and chief technology officer at Appian. I'm your moderator, John Gilroy. Well, Michael, I'm going to throw another big fancy phrase at you. The phrase is robotic workforce management. And so how are they putting this all together in a typical federal agency?
So robotic process automation began largely at lower levels inside of organizations. It was the kind of technology that a business analyst or a finance department could pick up and use right there on the desktop, and by recording what a Windows user was doing with Excel and with Access databases, they could make some real headway. But as the technology spread and scales up in an organization, without robotic workforce management technology, things can quickly turn negative in terms of efficiency. And that's simply because RPA, robotic process automation, is recording what humans do, and it can't handle change very well unless we help it. And so if Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge updates, that can cause a slight change in the interface, and next thing you know, your bots are breaking. If someone updates a dependent system, if they update a legacy environment, if they change where a window is located on the screen, the bot doesn't know that that window has moved because it's just doing exactly what the human did before. And so robotic workforce management in the Appian platform allows you to orchestrate humans and bots together, and it allows you to manage those dependencies. It allows you to identify what systems bots are dependent upon. It gives you a centralized store for credentials, so passwords, when they expire, can be managed so that all the bots can have their new passwords updated. Because remember, a bot is simulating a human. It needs a login and password just like a human does, and those automatically expire thanks to your security requirements. And so rather than having to run around to 100 or 1,000 different desktops and try to find the broken bots and make the changes, robotic workforce management in Appian gives you a centralized place to manage and prevent those breaks in the first place, and then when they do happen, automate and update all the bots simultaneously.
I think if you did a survey of federal IT professionals, they would say, a robot, well, it's like the Terminator, it's metal, it's perfect, it never fails. But what you're telling me, oh no, you mean the Terminator is the flaws? I mean, the robotic process automation can have flaws in it?
Yeah, well, for one thing, we're just talking about software bots. We're not talking about science fiction here. And these software bots are just doing what they're told. You know, it's just like software code, garbage in, garbage out. So you have to think about the human workflow up front. And if you haven't, then you're just setting yourself up for a problem, because the bots do execute a lot faster than humans, and that means they can make mistakes a lot faster than humans. And so if you don't think about having robotic workforce management in place, then it may work for a little while, but when a system updates or a password expires or the legacy system changes with an update, then you could be in for a world of hurt. And so much better to just think about full stack automation from the start. Use RPA with robotic workforce management and be able to route those exceptions to humans where they can automatically respond to them and basically allow the bots to serve humans rather than humans serving bots by running around trying to clean up their mess.
I've spoken with many people about a federal transition to the cloud, and it seems like the big hang-up is identity access management. Who's who? And I think you mentioned this previously, but a bot is part of this identity management program, isn't it? I mean, do they have to be verified in systems as well?
Yes, so bots have to be treated like people, and robotic workforce management gives you an opportunity to register the bots and validate that they have the right credentials and provide an audit trail automatically so that you know who approved the programming of the bot. Because if a regulator comes back later or is challenged by an industry later, you have to have this paper trail, which is automatically created in a system like Appian, because we assume that this non-repudiation is an essential part of a regulator's mission. They have to be able to justify and explain what they've done. And so again, this is where RPA should never be viewed in isolation. It should be viewed as part of a full stack automation program, and it should be viewed also as something that isn't always going to be there. Eventually, bots will outlive their usefulness. The systems will begin to change more than anticipated, or there'll just be time to retire them. So you should be constantly using robotic workforce measurement monitoring to measure the value of the bot compared to its error rate. And when the time comes, repurpose it and or retire it entirely.
Michael, you've used this phrase a couple times, full stack automation. Mm-hmm. So we got full stack automation here, And a federal CIO is going to turn to you and go, well, what about compliance? And compliance is going to change. If you've got this full stack automation there, all of a sudden there's new regulations, something is promulgated about cybersecurity for the federal government. How can it adapt?
So we've been talking about this in terms of exactly what the CIO needs, and that's visibility into what automation technique is being used and the opportunity to realize that it's all modeled as a human workflow. And whether it's machine learning or robotic process automation, these are just automation techniques that are augmenting what humans would otherwise do. And so from a CIO level, CTO level, you have that complete visibility into how the work would have been done by a human, who authorized it to be done by a machine, by a bot, by a script, by an algorithm, and how that algorithm works and functions. And so you have the visibility you need to have comfort that you have control over your agency and that you can report accurately on how your mission is being accomplished. And as well, know with confidence that you can scale to support the mission as it may surge to respond to a crisis or an unexpected challenge.
You know, I kind of fall into the trap of dualism all the time. It's either black or white. It's either robot or human, robot or human. What you're saying is there a blend that is available that will take the best of both worlds?
What I'm saying is before you begin to automate, you should figure out how humans do the work and model that as its own human workflow and use workflow technology, process automation technology to get the most out of your humans and then supplement them with the right automated technique where appropriate. Robotic process automation is very popular today, but it could be the case that simply an API integration is going to be far more accurate, high quality, and resilient to change by talking directly to a system rather than having to simulate a human doing it. And so together, when you have full stack automation, you have the opportunity as a CIO to guide your teams to use the right automation technique for the right problem rather than treating everything as a nail because you have a hammer.
So it's not one tool fits all, it's get the right tool for this particular situation, and we have to back off from some of the robotic processes to accomplish that, is that right?
Oh, certainly, and to also be willing to change because you can intermingle and migrate from RPA to AI or from AI to direct API integration as those opportunities emerge, as systems modernize, because everything in an agency is on its own migration schedule. It's not like you're going to replace 200 systems all at once. And so you need to be capable of evolving between different automation techniques. And to have RPA today available as it is from Appian in the cloud is a completely new opportunity to look at automation as something that is very CIO friendly, something that they're governing and managing and isn't creating a new problem of having hundreds of different bots out there on desktops that you can't manage from one central place or one console.
I'd like to thank today's guest, Michael Beckley, founder and chief technology officer at Appian. I'm your moderator, John Gilroy, and you're listening to Federal News Network. For more on this discussion, visit federalnewsnetwork.com and search Appian.